Hello there. All right, so here's what we need for this upgrade. Again, you need your Dune Racer or whatever Power Wheels, honestly. It's a pretty similar upgrade for most Power Wheels, other than, what size batteries you might want to get because of where they fit. Other than that, it should work pretty well. Let's see. So first of all, here's the stock Power Wheels battery, just for size comparison. So as you can see, much wider this direction. This one's slightly wider that way, but overall this is much bigger. So this is 12 volt, 12 amp hours. What we're upgrading to is 12 volt, 10 amp hours, but 2 of them. So slightly less amp hours, but we got 2 of them. So we're going to wire them in series to get 24 volts to make it faster. You could also wire them in parallel, and we'll talk about the wiring later. That would just give you a longer run time, but it would be the exact same speed. So that's what we're going to do. These two guys, the reason I chose these batteries and not something bigger is because I wanted to have them be able to fit into the stock battery box where this goes. That's just going to make it a lot easier for the whole modification and for not having to run wires back to front. So you'll see how that works later. But you could easily use any other kind of batteries. You could just get a 24 volt battery, but they're a bit more expensive. These were not very expensive. And I'll throw some links on those. Here, my little helper's riding his car around the yard. So here's what we got here. I found this pedal on eBay. The reason I found this pedal is because of the wiring. So obviously we got a ground here. I'm not planning on using that, but I am planning on using these wires. So really we're going to have positive power in and positive power out. This is just going to let you modulate the throttle based on how much you push, as opposed to what is on there, which is basically an on-off switch. Then we got a 24 volt charger. This is not required, but it's going to make charging and using this thing a lot easier. It wasn't super cheap, unfortunately. I want to say it was like 40-50 bucks, but it's going to make it a lot easier. So I also bought a power outlet, so we're going to throw this on the back so we don't have to take any batteries out. All we got to do is plug this bad Johnny into there. So this came separate, but this was like, I don't know, 7 bucks. This was like 40 or 50 bucks. So a little expensive, but it's going to make it a lot easier to use. Then we've got 2 of the same. These are just mountain bicycle tires. They are 29-inch, and these 2 should be enough to wrap all 4 wheels to give us more grip. Grip for the drive wheels, and then grip for the front wheels for turning. Let's get into it. Okay, this is completely stock steering. Look, no changes, just built. Completely stock. This is we'll start with slow mode. It's not very fast. Now granted, we are probably 200 pounds together, well over the weight limit of, I think, 130 pounds. Reverse. Now fast forward. So, there it is, stock mode. Not a lot of room here to ride around, but very slow. Turning radius sucks. All right, so some of these other parts are things that I just have lying around, but you can get at any local hardware store. So this is just a little bit of wire I had laying around. I'm pretty sure it's 14 gauge maybe, but either way, it's pretty similar size to the wiring that is in this little Dune Racer here. So it should work out fine. And then I got a few of these little wire ends. I don't know if you can see that. But basically this is just going to clip onto the terminals of the battery. I already pre-stripped the wire here, but basically you're going to put this on there and crimp it, and then this one is a heat shrink deal, so you're going to heat shrink that. You're going to put one on this end as well. So we're basically just making a jumper, and I'll show you what that's for in a minute. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to cut off the stock battery adapter. If you cut it really close, you'll have extra wires to use, but you won't have the ability to reuse this again, so I like to have a backup plan. So I'm going to cut it with, I don't know, a couple inches left here. Then we're going to add these little adapters on the end of each one of the wires, just like we did on our jumper. Let's do it. A little bit off camera, but not all that complicated. Check it out. So, the black and the white down here just came from the battery, the original battery connector right here. Just snip that off. Bam. Don't need it anymore. Then what I got here is I wired up and I drilled a hole and mounted this charging port. Okay, all I had to do was drill a hole there, and then there was a little hole for this nub. So this covers itself up. Looks pretty nice. There's that jumper we already talked about. I'll show you what we do with that here in just a minute. So this red and black wire here just come from the charger. So I wired these to basically the positive and negative. The green and white wires here, well, really that's just because these were very short and I needed a little bit longer wires there. So I just threw in some bits of wire I had laying around. These are some little wire splice adapters. They're actually really nice because they have solder built in, and then they have these little colored rings that seal it off and keep it watertight. Those are really nice. You just slide those on there, twist the wires together, put it over top, and then use a little heat gun to heat shrink it, and boom. So big picture, these are the stock wires, positive, negative. White's positive, so that's why the white one goes to the positive on the charger. It's going to go to the positive on the battery. Black's negative. It's going to go to the negative on the battery. It goes to the negative on the charger. All right. Really, if all you want to do is make it faster, this is enough. Add a way to charge it. Put in 2 batteries. Wire them in series. So you got, instead of 12 volts, 24 volts. Boom. Put it in there. You're going to have a faster car. So the other things I'm going to do, we'll do next, but if this is all you wanted to do, this is a very simple upgrade to do. So what I've got here, this jumper we made, it goes from the positive to the negative from one battery to the next, and then we're just going to hook the positive to the positive, the negative to the negative, obviously on different batteries, which is going to be series, and again, that's going to make this whole system 24 volts instead of 12 volts. The reason I chose these batteries is because on their sides like this, they will just slide in there pretty snug. The bottom battery is really snug. The top battery, it's a little loose, so I'll probably find some sort of rubber or piece of plastic, maybe even cardboard if it's all I can find, to pack in on the sides to keep it from bouncing around. And then hook these bad Johnnies up, and that's going to be it. We'll give it a try before we hook up the rest of the stuff like the pedal and whatnot. But I know what you're thinking. Hey, you can't turn those batteries on the side. These are AGM batteries. They are designed to be mounted on the side or vertical. I believe they say you're not supposed to mount them upside down, but on the side it says they should be fine. So that's what we're going to do. I'll show you what it looks like driving around, and then we'll get to the other upgrades. Here we go. Let's see. All right, so this is with the 24 volt upgrade, but that's it. No adjusted throttle, no rubber on the wheels. Obviously, I don't have my little helper here, but I'm still about 170 pounds, I would say, and well over the weight limit. Let's test slow mode first. Say slow mode is probably a little bit faster than what the previous fast mode was. Let's test reverse. Reverse is definitely faster as well. Honestly, not just a little bit, it is considerably faster in slow mode than it was in fast mode previously. Now let's try fast mode. see, it peels out pretty good because, again, we're on concrete. These are plastic wheels. They don't have a lot of grip. So, now you see why I want a throttle that I can modulate a little bit, because this whole on-off switch with a lot of power is a lot of stress on the gearboxes, which, now, I've done this upgrade before on a different one a few years ago. It was basically the same thing, and those gearboxes did last a while. I didn't ride it a lot. Obviously, it was more like for my kids. But the gearbox did eventually fail. I was able to find a replacement. I can't remember if it was the gearbox or the gears, but with a little bit of research, you can replace the gearboxes and the gears. But you're going to have the same problem because it's just a lot of stress. The gearboxes aren't made for that much torque instantaneously. So that's why we're going to adjust the throttle. Let's do it. All right, I've got my driver now, my helper Lincoln. He is going to test it out with the new 24-volt upgrade. He's going to do some fast mode, some slow mode, and all that stuff, and we'll see how it goes. Let's go slow mode first. Go. Keep going.
Wow, that was fast.
Yep, keep going. Stop. Cars. Let's look for cars. All right, no cars. Go. All right, try fast mode. Whoa, now come back. Come back. Come here.